What's up guys? Welcome back to the Tacoma Beast channel, where as you know, it's all about the taco. My name is Dustin and today we're going to be installing a set of Timbren active off-road bump stops for the front and rear of my 2011 Tacoma. This kit is compatible with the 2005 to current Tacomas, and it comes with options for standard U-bolts or, like we're installing today, the U-bolt flip kit. Let's get to it. So what we have here are the Timbren active off-road bump stops. It comes with the front and the rear, and for our options we got the U-bolt flip kit, but it also comes with the standard U-bolts if that's what you choose. Let's go ahead and open these things up. So right here is the kit for the rear, the rounded U-bolts for the flip kit. These are the cups that the bump stops are going to sit in, and then the bump stop assembly plates. Now we're going to open up the front kit. This kit is a little less involved. It's just going to come with the front bump stops. Okay guys, let's take a look at the parts we're going to need for this install. For this install, you're going to need a breaker bar, a 19mm deep socket, an extension, a wheel lock key if you have wheel locks on your wheels, a torque wrench for reassembly, adjustable pliers, a 5/16 Allen wrench, a 14mm deep socket, a 5.5mm Allen wrench, a socket wrench, a 14mm crescent wrench, a 7/8 socket. This was for the Deaver leaf pack U-bolts. Yours may be different. I would recommend having a 19mm deep socket and shallow socket, something to lift the vehicle like a floor jack or a bottle jack, jack stands, and an impact wrench if you have one. There's going to be a full parts list in the description below, so be sure to check that out. Now that we have the kits unboxed and the tools we need, we're going to go ahead and move on to the front. We're going to start by loosening the lug nuts on the front wheel with a 19mm socket and a breaker bar. If you have a wheel lock on your lug nuts, then you'll use a wheel lock key. Now that we have the lug nuts off the front wheel, we're gonna raise the front of the truck enough so the front tire is no longer touching. That'll allow us to get the wheel off, and then we can access the bump stop. Be sure to put a floor jack under the frame for safety. To loosen the factory bump stop, we're using a pair of adjustable pliers. Once loose, you can remove by hand. Now that we have them side by side, you can see that the factory bump stop is much smaller than the Timbren active off-road bump stop. I know you can't feel this, but this OEM bump stop is rock hard, and the whole purpose of a bump stop is to prevent metal on metal collision and also improve the ride quality, especially when off-roading, when you bottom out a lot. So these active off-road bump stops, they have a lot more give to them, and it's gonna make that ride quality a lot better. The Timbren front bump stop comes with this little cradle that the bump stop will sit inside of, and that prevents it from losing its shape over time. The new bump stop will thread right into the welded nut that the factory bump stop came out of. You can thread it in by hand and then tighten it with a 5/16 Allen wrench. That's it for the front install. We're going to reinstall the front wheel and then move on to the rear. Now that the tire is back on the ground, it's important to make sure that you torque the lug nuts to the factory specs. So we're going to torque these down to 83 foot-pounds. To begin the rear bump stop install, we're going to start by assembling the rear bump stop. We have the rear bump stop with a washer inside, a 14mm nut, the cradle that the bump stop sits in, the mounting plate for the rear bump stop, the bolt that holds the bump stop to the mounting plate, some hardware to mount the bump stop mounting plate to the U-bolt mounting plate. We're going to start by taking our 16mm Allen wrench, assembling the rear bump stop. Get it hand tight first. It just gets to the point where it doesn't turn anymore. Perfect. Now that we have the bump stops installed to the mounting plate, we're going to mount this to the U-bolt mounting plate. Once you get it hand tight, you can use a 14mm wrench to tighten it down. Now that we have the rear bump stops assembled, we're gonna lift the rear of the truck to get the rear wheels off, and then we can install our rear bump stops and U-bolt flip kit. Now that we have the truck lifted up and the wheel off, and the weight of the truck sitting on the jack stand, we're gonna go ahead and loosen the U-bolt nuts to get the factory bump stop off so we can install our new Timbren Active Off-Road bump stop. As you can see, there's a huge difference between the factory bump stop and the Timbren Active Off-Road bump stop. Just a major improvement. Just like the front bump stop, this rear bump stop is rock hard. Every time you bottom out, you're gonna feel that. With this one, you can see right there, there's just so much more play. More space to compress. This is gonna be a much nicer ride when you're off-road and bottoming out. Now we're gonna install the Timbren Active Off-Road bump stop. As you can see, there's a hole right here in the middle that has to align with this nut. Now we're installing the U-bolt flip kit. The benefit of the U-bolt flip kit is to provide a little more clearance. With the nuts and bolts on the bottom of the axle, you have a chance of getting caught up on rocks or anything else when you're off-roading. So this U-bolt flip kit will help prevent that. You want to make sure that all the nuts are hand tightened on the U-bolts before you go in and torque them down. Okay, now we're going to torque the U-bolt nuts down to the recommended setting, which is 75 foot-pounds. We're going to cross as we're doing it. Now we're going to tighten down all the nuts to the specified torque setting, which is 75 pounds. And every time you tighten one, the other side loosens because because it's a U-bolt. There we go. If you guys decided to go with the standard U-bolt kit, then they will install just like the factory U-bolts. So instead of coming from the bottom with the U-bolts, they'll come from the top. That's it, guys. Replacing the factory bump stops with the Timbren Active Off-Road bump stops is a super easy install that will vastly improve your ride quality as well as the protection to your vehicle. If you learned something from this video, make sure you smash that like button. And if you want to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.